Awesome. Hey guys, my name is Jay. I'm one of the expert IELTS teachers here at E2 Language. We're here for another IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 class. In this one, we're going to look at two tables, which is something that you might see on test day. If you haven't seen them yet, you can also see the 1 table and you can see the 3 tables as well. This is 2. It's all possible. It's all possible. The plan for this live class is to do 4 things. First of all, we're going to look at a 2-table task 1, and I want you to analyze it, and I want you to plan your description. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to do that, because that's about as much time as you'll have in the actual exam to analyze and plan. It's an extremely important first step. Second, you're going to write your summary sentence, which is probably the most important sentence of your entire description. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. Then you're going to write the description paragraph and your comparison paragraphs. And I'm going to give you a full 15 minutes to do that. So in total, that'll be 18 and a half minutes. And at the end, I'm going to show you a way to score yourself, so you know how to write to make the examiners happy, okay? 2 tables, right. So on test day, you open up your test booklet and this is what you see. Before you A, run out of the room, B, start crying, or C, jump out of the window, you should actually just spend a little bit of time looking at this and understanding it. When you first look at these 2 tables, you think this is going to be impossible to understand, but it's not. It's not. In fact, it's not. So let's think about structure and analysis, okay? How would you structure your description? Well, really, and this is the E2 language method, I've been teaching you this, there's 3 main things that you need to do when in any of these task 1s, okay? You need to write a summary sentence, you need to identify the main trends or the key features, and then you need to make comparisons. So this could be 3 paragraphs. For example, your summary sentence, a paragraph for key features, and a paragraph for comparisons. But number 3 usually will be broken down into sub-paragraphs as well, or additional paragraphs. I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to give you 90 seconds. You can see the blue clock down in the corner. I just want you to look at and understand these 2 tables. And I want you to sketch up a bit of a structure in your mind for how your paragraphs will work on test day. You have 1.5 minutes to look at this starting now. Right. Hopefully, while looking at these 2 tables, you saw a way in which you might structure your description. There are certain trends in a table. I'll go through them in a second and I'll show you how I structured it. But this is such a critical step in achieving a high score. It's your ability to, first of all, recognize what you're looking at, to analyze it and to see, okay, Okay, I see what's going on here. Ah, I see a bit of a pattern here, and I see a pattern here. That could be a good first paragraph. That could be a good second paragraph. Bicycle hires. That's a category that's not in the forecasted sales. Maybe I'll have to write a separate paragraph for bicycle hires. All of these decisions are really critical to make, and they're difficult to make because you're under such enormous pressure on test day, but they're decisions that you have to make, okay? So let's go through. This is how I thought that I would structure mine. So I kept the summary, key features, and the comparison idea. So in my key features, I'm going to talk about the totals because there was a total category there, the good performers and the poor performers. And I'll briefly mention that new category of bicycle hires, okay? So I can include a little bit of data here, that's fine, but that's not the point. I'm just talking about the key features of those tables. And basically there were two key features. There were those categories of sales which performed well, and there were those categories of sales which underperformed, okay? That's basically, there's your two paragraphs. It can be that simple. And in the comparison section, well, I'm going to write a paragraph about the sales that did not meet expectations, those that were below forecast. And I'll write a paragraph about those sales which were above forecast. I believe there was definitely one, and there was one that had a couple. And then maybe the last sentence or last two sentences, I'll talk about that new category. So maybe your structure looked like mine. Of course, there are many different ways to structure this. So if yours look different, that's fine. So on test day, this is what my writing task 1 will look like. It's 175 words. In fact, it has kind of, if you want to count that first sentence, it has the summary sentence, then it has 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. Now I have to be flexible on test day. I could write 3, I could just write 2, probably not, but I want to be flexible. And I want to write, or I want to structure this according to what I'm looking at, not according to some set structure that I bring with me on test day. I want to look at these tables and go, okay, this is going to require 4 paragraphs. Or maybe I'll look at it and go, this is going to require 3 paragraphs, whatever it is. Let me take you through mine. So the summary sentence, how did I write this? Well, I looked at this sentence here, which says the tables below show the forecasted and actual sales of a bicycle shop over 4 months. Okay, so I took that sentence, I rewrote it in my words to mean the exact same thing. The two tables depict a bicycle shop's predicted and actual sales over the first 4 months of a year. It says the exact same thing. It's just written in different words, not entirely different words. The word actual sales, I couldn't change, for example, and bicycle shop, I couldn't change that. Perhaps I could have written bicycle store. I've changed it enough. Then I wrote this paragraph here about the key features of those two tables, which basically is I started with a sentence about the totals, how the forecasted sales didn't meet the expectations of the actual sales. I talked about how new bicycles and clothing didn't perform well at all. I talked about how spare parts and repairs did perform well. And I mentioned very briefly that bicycle hires was added as well. So this paragraph says, despite a strong month in February, all forecasted sales for each month did not meet expectations. Several categories did well, including repairs and spare parts sales. However, bicycle sales and clothing sales performed poorly. A new category was added in the 3rd month, namely bicycle hires. There's no data in here. There's a bit of a comparison. I haven't included any of the sales figures, the dollar amounts, nothing like that. It's just a description of the key features of those two tables. And it kind of serves as a bit of an introduction. And I'll show you why it serves as an introduction. Well, okay, this is just a sentence about the totals. That's fine. Several categories did well. Well, this becomes this paragraph here. However, bicycle sales and clothing sales performed poorly. Well, that becomes this paragraph here. A new category was added in the 3rd month, namely bicycle hires. Well, that becomes that final paragraph there. So this description kind of you can kind of think of it like an introduction for an essay, for example. It's going to tell the reader what you will tell them. So what about this paragraph? How did I do that? Well, when I looked at these two tables, I saw that new bicycles and clothing did not meet the expectation of actual sales. Let me show you what I mean. Let's look at new bicycles. So the forecast in January was for $15,000. It made $13,300. February, $17,000. It made, oh, I've actually made a little mistake. It was actually above in that month there. I didn't see that actually. Uh-oh, would I lose points? Probably. How many points would I lose? I don't know. I can honestly say, despite I made this, but I didn't see that I actually put that in higher sales in February. Is it a big issue? I possibly could have improved. I'll show you what my paragraph says in a second. Maybe I could have said a particular phrase, apart from February, all sales did not meet expectations for new bicycles. I could have done that with my language. I didn't. I'll show you in a second. So March, it was expected to be 18. It made 15. In April, expected 20. It made 18. Similarly, clothing, forecast at 4,500, made 2,300. Forecast in February 5,1, made 2,1, etc., etc. They all performed lower than that, except for February here. So I made a paragraph about that, those sales below forecast. And I wrote this: while bicycle sales were projected to increase each month, they in fact decreased each month with the exception, oh, I did write it, sorry, with the exception of February, which saw sales at $440 above expectations. Similarly, clothing, which was expected to rise to $6,000 by April, only reached $3,220, well below its forecast. Sorry, I did include that exception there of February. So, phew, that's lucky. I'm glad I did that. Cool. This paragraph, okay, those sales which were above the forecast estimates. So, spare parts and repairs. So I've combined these two categories into one paragraph. Let's quickly go through this. So in January, it was expected to make 3,700. It made 4,500. In February, it was expected to make 4,200. It made 4,160. So below, slightly below. 4,500 here, 4,700, 5,000, 3,200. Okay, fine. So there were two months above expectations. Repairs expected to make 2,500, made 2,590, $40 above, fine, it's still above. You don't need to be particular. 2,550, 3,420, 2,550, 3,550, 3,450, and 3,700. So these were all above expectation for this category of repairs here. So how did I word this in my paragraph? Because repairs is fine. I can just say it increased each month. Spare parts did, but only for January and March it was above expectations. So I wrote this. So in contrast to those below forecast, there's my linking word connecting my paragraphs. So in contrast, spare parts sales did reasonably well, outperforming its forecasts in January and March, attaining an $800 and $260 increase. Repairs also exceeded expectations, with sales increasing month on month from 2,590 to 3,780. Now, one thing you'll notice that I'm not doing, which is a bit of a change to the method recently after I took this test for the third time, is, and after I got some feedback from an IELTS examiner. Okay, so I spoke to an IELTS examiner. He said, everything's good, but you're probably over-reporting. What does that mean? That means that you do not need to include all of the data, okay? You just need to choose those data which are most interesting or which are most exceptional or which show a pattern. You do not need to say in April it was this, in March it was this, in January it was this, and in February it was this. You can just say it increased by $400 over this 4 months. Or you can just say January was an exception at $886, whatever, okay? So here's a little key. Don't over-report data. Just select the data, the numbers, the dollars, the temperatures, whatever you're looking at, and just report on the interesting stuff. Okay, cool. Finally, new category. Okay, so I looked at this and I saw this little bit here. And what the IELTS will often do is they'll often put in a little curveball for you, such as bicycle hires, because there's no bicycle hires here. It doesn't exist in the forecasted sales. But then in March and April, they introduced this new category, which made them a bit of money. So you should include exceptional things like this, even if it's just 1 or 2 sentences as a separate paragraph. I wrote, in March and April, a new type of revenue stream was created, that being bicycle hires. This brought in income of $850 and $1,100 in the final 2 months. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. This is my description there of the 2 tables. Now, before you write yours, I've got something to ask you. First of all, I want you to like this video, comment if you're enjoying it, subscribe to the channel, and you can share it with your friends if you like. In addition, if you're a free user and you're watching all of these YouTube videos and you're thinking, wow, this is fabulous, you can feel free to donate some money to E2 Language. I don't care if it's $1 or $2 or $10 or whatever it is you want to donate. If you go to this website here, you can do me a favor, you can do the company a favor. A little contribution will go a long way. It's a recent thing. I love seeing little dollars appear on my phone. I think fantastic. Somebody's appreciated us enough to give us a couple of dollars, and that's cool because it means we can keep going and keep building and keep doing this thing. Anyway, it's up to you. Right, let's move on to time to practice. You're going to have 17 minutes because we've already spent 90 seconds analyzing and planning. Our time to practice will be divided into 2 parts. We're going to write a summary. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to transform that description into your own words. Then you're going to have 15 minutes to talk about the key features and write your comparison paragraphs, okay? Your 2 minutes to transform that first sentence, that description into your own words starts now. What the hell is that? Okay, that was some weird alarm. That's fine. Let me have a look at some of these here. The tables illustrate the in the actual value of different different products in comparison to its planning. Not quite. You don't have to transform it that much, okay? You got to find it. You got to find the right way to do it. The tables illustrate the information about the possible, predicted would be better, predicted and actual sales of a bicycle shop in 4 months from January to April. Good, well done. I think that word possible sales is not quite precise enough. So forecast, you want to find a synonym for forecast. So a forecasted sales, predicted sales, estimated sales, expected sales, something like that would be a nice way to do that using synonyms. The two tables show predicted and actual sales of bicycle shop, of a bicycle shop, which happened over 4 months from January to April. Okay, fine. Change that a little bit. One more. The two tables illustrate the predicted and the actual sales of the bicycle shops over the 4 months of the year. Good, nice, well done. Good, 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 good. Make sure you get that sentence right. It's absolutely critical. Okay, now we move on to, I want you to write a description paragraph, and then I want you to write your comparison paragraphs. You're going to have 15 minutes. This thing, believe it or not, is a timer. And I hope it works. Is it working? Whoops, yes, it was working. Okay, here we go. Got about 1 minute left. Okie dokie. I think that's the end of the 15 minutes. Let me just have a look at some of what you have written here. Okay, here we go. New bicycles and clothing didn't reach their targets. I'm reading Sophia's. I'm making a few small changes as I read it. Except for February, the actual sales were lower than the forecasted in bicycle sales. Clothing production wasn't high. No, it wasn't clothing production, it was clothing sales. Clothing sales weren't high. In April, the actual sales were halved. Good, nice. Were halved. That's good language. Good language. So you didn't use a particular, dollar sign. You just said they halved. That's good. That's good. From their forecast. On the other hand, spare parts and repairs were higher. Spare parts were successful in sales in January and March, when in February and April, the actual sales were lower. A new section, bicycle hires, started in March and in April, and it earned more money than previously. Fine. In conclusion, no conclusions. There's no conclusions in writing task 1. Conclusions are for essays, when you come to a conclusion. Nothing to conclude here, we're just describing. So really it has no sort of end, actually. Mine just ended with a piddly little sentence about the new categories, so yours should too. Good though, Sophia, that's looking nice. Let's have a look at, I'll read one more. I'll read Just Meat. Despite the fact that February is a great month, but the sales of many products declined in actual, but every cloud has a silver lining. No, every cloud doesn't have a silver lining. This academic writing task 1 is a prosaic description of data. No idioms should be put into this. So no silver linings in clouds. This is just describing data and doing it accurately. In your essay, should you write idioms in your essay? Well, personally, I don't think you should. You can use academic phrases in your essay, possibly an idiom if it works. For example, what did I write? Children left to their own devices will not use a computer, whatever. I wrote something like that. Fine, that's a good. Few products consistently rose, like repairs. Okay, although the planning of new bicycles was expected to grow each month, the sales value of new bicycle sales declined month after month. Good, fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Importantly, you need to count your words, because I've just seen that Just Meat's written 121 words. That's not enough. You need to write at least 150. If you write less than 150, which by the way, 22% of candidates do, you will immediately lose. I don't know how much they take off you, but it's probably going to be like one whole band score. So if you were going to get an 8, you would get a 7. A 7 would get a 6, for example, if you do not meet the word count. Count your words, do some mathematics on the page. You have to count your words. You have to make sure that you write over 150. Second thing is, in your essay, they give you one sheet of paper for your answer sheet. It's not enough. For most people, it's not enough. If your handwriting is big, like mine, I can only fit 5 words on a line. I need 2 pieces of paper, and I fill most of them back and front to get past 250 words. Awesome. All right. How are you going to score yourself? How do you know if you're doing it well or not? Well, the IELTS give out these things called criteria, which are what the examiners use to grade your writing. Whoopsie. The criteria look like this. There are 4 categories that you are graded on. First one is task achievement. Let's just focus on task achievement first. So to get a high IELTS writing score for task achievement, you wrote directly about the image or the tables, you identified main features, and you compared relevant data. If you did that well, you would get an 8. Well, I don't know how they score you in actual fact. I think they throw them down the stairs. But anyway, task achievement low, you would get a 5. If you did not address the task or your understanding of the task was inadequate, and in other words, you did not understand the tables, the response was unclear, irrelevant, repetitive, or inaccurate. Okay? So maybe you can mark yourself from 5 to 8 there. Give yourself a score for task achievement. Structure. 8 would be that you effectively used the E2 formula to write a logical structure. Your response was cohesive and your ideas are linked logically. There's a few different verb tenses in there. That's not good. Low, you did not use the E2 formula or a logical structure. There was a lack of clear progression of ideas. In other words, everything was jumbled up. Linking words were used inaccurately or inappropriately. So that would be a 5. Vocabulary, you used a wide range of sophisticated words naturally, accurately, and appropriately. Low, you used a limited range of vocabulary. You made noticeable errors in spelling and or word formation that caused some difficulty for the reader. Finally, grammar. Your grammar was entirely accurate. You used a wide range of structures with full flexibility and accuracy. Rare minor errors occur only as slips. In other words, you can make small errors. 1 or 2 small errors, that's okay. Low, your grammar contained a number of basic mistakes. You made frequent grammatical errors and punctuation, which caused some difficulty for the reader. In other words, what you might need if you did not grade yourself well, you may need to go and check out this website here, www.e2language.com. You can start as a free user. You can sign up for free and you get some free stuff. If you're really struggling or if you need help or whatever, you can upgrade your account to access tutorials, to access feedback on your writing by our IELTS experts, to access our live group classes, which are very, very helpful, and to access all of our practice materials, okay? And methods and overview lessons and everything we have there. So you might want to check that out. That's all. If you do want to donate to e2language.com, you can check the description below, click the paypal.me link, $1 or $2, that would be nice. Apart from that, I'll answer a few questions for you now. All right, questions. Just going to move my computer a bit closer. Okay, let's have a look at some questions. I got Jay. I wrote my exam last week. Most people write exams on only one sheet. Correct. Most people do it for the. It's just this. I just find. I'm sorry. I just find this so unbelievably wrong that they don't give you 2 pieces of paper to write your essay. Because I made this mistake in my first IELTS. I wrote below the word count because I did my writing task 150 words back and front. Thought great. I wrote my essay back and front, and I just thought, rookie mistake. I thought it must be 250 words because, well, they've only given me 1 piece of paper and I filled the back and front. Must be 250 words. I've got big handwriting, but a lot of people do. Anyway, I didn't write to the word count, and so I got a poor score, frustratingly. Anyway, what I found out, I did some experiments and I looked at my handwriting and I printed off an answer sheet. You should probably do this. Go and print an answer sheet and write an essay on it and just sort of see whether you do need 2 pages and see where you end up. Yeah. Anyway, it's not hard. Just put your hand up, ask the examiner, say, excuse me, I need another sheet of paper. They'll bring one over. It's frustrating, but yes. Hi, Jay. I'm facing too many problems while speaking. Please suggest some tips to overcome the fillers. Balu, check out the method PPF, our E2 language method called PPF, past, present, and future. It is an absolute winner. Okay. Thanks. Somebody's invited me to Morocco. Cool. I would love to go to Morocco. That would be fantastic. It's not on my list yet, but maybe I'll put it on there. Jay, how can I send my writing task 2 for you to check? Well, you have to become a paid member, and as a part of your package, you get feedback assessments. So you'll actually write out your essay, type it up, and through the E2 language platform, send it. Our teachers will mark it, send it back to you with a representative score and with comments about what you've done good and what you've done bad, which is important. Joy says, PPF really worked for me. Yes, it does work. It's really good. Hina, hi Jay, what would be your suggestion in terms of leaving a line for clear writing? So with your task 1 and task 2, just leave a line between your paragraphs. That's all. Just leave one line between your paragraphs. Jay, come to Goa also. I've been to India a couple of times. I like it. I really like South India, actually. I like the north too. I like Rishikesh. I like Mysore. That's a nice place. How many tasks we can send as a paid member? It depends on the package because we have like budget package, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. So you'll have to check out on the website and decide. And visit Delhi as well. That would be cool. All right. Let me check out YouTube Live and answer any questions there. Okay, I'm just looking at it here. Jay, do the examiners reduce our band score if our handwriting is unclear? Yes. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but it has to be legible, readable, understandable. If it's not, then you will lose marks. So yeah, think about your handwriting. Hannah Hernandez. Oh, no, that's someone commenting about Hannah Hernandez, who, by the way, you did contribute to paypal.me or Patreon. Thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. Sir, I have a question as regards to the structure of writing task 1. First, paraphrase the statement. Second, overall. Third, body. Yes. Yes. So really 3 parts, but summary sentence is always the same. Then your description paragraph of key features or main trends. Key features and or main trends. This one didn't really have trends because it was just comparing 2 things. Then you write your comparison paragraphs. Now you might write 1, you might write 2, or you might write 3, even possibly 4. Depends on what you're looking at. Okay, so thinking about how to structure it's important. Rushhead26, why you did not read my question? I just read your question. Jay, how much is it in pounds to sign up for the paid package? I'm not sure. We sell in US dollars, so you can do a Google, whatever it is, type in X pounds in US dollars or whatever. Tomorrow is my speaking test. Please assist me with it. Check out the PPF method. It's really good. Time management for reading. Sorry, let me go back to another one. Jay, what is the trick to compare relatively similar charts? Okay, let's say you're looking at 2 charts and they're relatively similar. Well, they won't be. IELTS won't give you 2 charts that are almost the same because you have to make comparisons between the 2. Some things will be similar, not exactly the same. Some things might be exactly the same. Some things will be vastly different. So it's your ability to choose what's similar, what's the same, and what's vastly different, and to write paragraphs about that, okay? Okay, back to reading time management. It's understanding the question types, understanding the strategies. When you understand the question types, for example, match sentence endings is very confusing to look at. Once you know what you're looking at, then you need a strategy for how to do it. That's what we teach you on the website. Okay, and just some other questions about improving grammar and vocabulary. Well, we're working on building some really cool stuff at E2 at the moment. So anyway, guys, I'll call it a night. Thank you very much for coming along. I appreciate it. Remember, PayPal me if you want to donate to E2 and spread the love, share the love. Yes, that would be nice. All right. Any questions? You can also just go to help.e2language.com or just go to E2 Language, click on the help button, submit an inquiry. That's fine. We'll answer it for you. Thanks very much. Hope that was helpful. Hope you